This conference will now be recorded.
So you have discussed about interface, inheritance, object, constructor, all these things. So if you are aware of say interface, object, inheritance, these are the concepts which will be required for Selenium. So make sure you are clear about those concepts and all. Okay. Polymorphism and all, let's for interview purpose you can study all these things and you might get some questions on that and all. So basically the object oriented programming concept is based on interface, inheritance, and polymorphism, and something called abstraction. Okay. Sorry, not abstraction. Abstract I'll talk about encapsulation. So any object-oriented programming language based on these four concepts. Okay, these are they are called the pillars of object-oriented programming language: inheritance, interface, and polymorphism, and encapsulation. So encapsulation, you will not see the use of it in WebDriver, but you need to know what is encapsulation for interview purpose and all. So let me talk about encapsulation. So I am creating a package dot encap. What happened? She is not joining. Guys, just give me 1 minute. I'll check with her.
This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, Riddhi, can you hear us?
Yes, Abhishek.
Okay, fine. Hey, what about Dinesh again? Okay. So today, now I am going to talk about encapsulation. What is encapsulation? Encapsulation, basically you are encapsulating something. Mainly what I'm saying, see, as I told, you will not see the use of encapsulation actually in WebDriver, but since this is one of the object-oriented programming concept, we need to know what is encapsulation. What is capsule? Capsule, in the capsule there are two types of medicine. Basically, they merge together, so they put one medicine inside another medicine. Okay, so one medicine is hiding inside another medicine. So that is what is capsule, right? So that is the difference between capsule and normal, tablets. So normal tablets is like if you are having fever, they will give you, doctors will give you the tablet for fever or cold. But capsule means, say you are having fever along with cold. So doctors will give you, medicine of cold, and inside that there might be some antibiotic also. Capsule is nothing but basically the mixture of two tablets, two medicines. Encapsulation is also something. So here, one medicine hiding inside another. Encapsulation is also something like you don't want to give access to some variable to outside any class, but you can allow them to use it. You can go for encapsulation. Okay. For example, I'm creating a class test1. Okay, with main method. So when I need to create any method or anything from this class, so let me create some method. Public void, say m1, for example, one method. So m1 method. Public, the integer n, some number, for example. Okay, m1 method, and here I am printing the number, for example, n. So in another class, what I can do, I can create the object of this class, encap e1 equal to new encap. e1 dot n, I can give some number. e1 dot m1. I can call this method, right? This is the normal way of what we studied in the object. But in encapsulation, I don't want give access n to anyone. Then we go for encapsulation. Instead of public, I'll create private. Saving it. As soon as I save it, I am getting error message, right? Because I can't access it. So if I run it here, the method m1 method is showing 0. Okay. So here basically I can do like this. So I can write private integer and 2. Okay, so or maybe say declare something else. String what I should write. Okay, then let's write integer only. String name, something I am declaring. Now, when you do the encapsulation, what you can do, we have to create something called getter and setter class. These both are private. Since these both are private, you cannot access them anywhere in this class, right? Outside this class. But you can create some method through which you can set some parameter and you can get the output also. So I'm not directly giving the access of this variable, but I can give the access of this variable using some method. So you have to create one method called get and set. You don't have to do it manually. If you right click on any class, you go to coverage. One second, where is that option? Coverages, no. References. Okay. Source, if you go to the source, you can write it manually also. So in the source, you can actually directly do it. Okay. See in the source, you can see, can you see generate getter and setter? Generate constructor. Can you see you can write the constructor also? We are writing till now manually, right? You can directly write it. If you click here generate constructor, so it will ask you using which variable you want to create a constructor. Remember we created a constructor using some variable input argument. Anyway, we are not bothered about constructor. Here is something called generate getter and setter. If you click here, he'll ask you which variable, using which variable you need to implement getter and setter. If you want, you can implement only one. If you want, you can implement both also. Okay, you can click both. So there will be 4 methods. One is getter and setter and one is getter name, setter name. If you select only one, it will be, if I select only n, it will be 2 method. One is, getter, setter n and getter n. Let me select both or 2. Okay, let me select only one. Click OK. Can you see? There are 2 methods. Get n, set n for this variable. Using set n, you can set any parameter. See, I am not able to access n outside my class, right? Because it's a private. But you can access this method using, you can access this method set n. You can set the n. How you are setting this, I told you already, this dot n equal to n. And here maybe say you are doing something. So it's returning n into n. Okay, it's returning an integer n into n. And here using this method you can set. So what I can write e1 dot set n. I'm writing say 4. I can write u1 dot get n. So here I am setting up the environment. See, I cannot access directly here. u1 dot, and I am not able to access because it's a private. But I am accessing indirectly using the method. So that's why if you don't want to give access to any variable to anyone outside this class, you can declare it as a private, and you can create two methods. One is not recorded it, right? Oh yes, it's recording only. So you can set it. Okay, this is the way. So get n and set. What is
This conference will now be recorded.
okay? So this is the way you can set getter and setter. So I cannot access this n directly because it's private. So using this method, using this set n, I can initialize this variable. And using get, I can do whatever I want to do. So it is going to return n into n. Okay, if I go back and run here, so it's giving 16. Okay, if I write here 10, so I can set the parameter as 10, value of n, and 10 into 10, I am doing 100. This is called encapsulation. This is not useful in, we'll not be using it in WebDriver, but this is for your interview purpose, for your concept. What is encapsulation? Because there are 4 things in object-oriented programming language, as I told. Object is definitely is required. Then you need inheritance, interface, polymorphism, and encapsulation. These are the 4 pillars of object-oriented programming. Okay. So clear? What is encapsulation? You can create it manually also. You can create for this method also, public, integer, and all, or or you can create for both the methods also. Like right click, source, see, getter and setter. So get method is called getter and set method is called setter. Now I have selected both. Okay, now if you don't want to give access to that also, you can declare protected, private, and all. Then you can't access it outside this method also. But anyway, I am not doing it. I am just writing it. Can you see? There are 2 set variable for n, or set variable, get variable for n, set variable. Again, 2 more method. One is set name for string, one is get name for string. So getter and setter. These are called getter and setter. This is what is encapsulation. Clear? What is encapsulation? Okay. So if you know the concept, that should be fine, and you can write some basic things.
Abhishek,
Yeah.
so in the set function, in set
Mm-hmm.
method, there is something called this keyword, no? This dot in. So what is that?
Yeah. So for that, that's why I told you, you guys need to practice. Later it will be difficult to follow. In object class, if you go, I used it and explained what is the use of this keyword. So if this means this dot whatever you are going to write, that means this name is nothing but your global variable name of this class. I have declared, right, global variable name and age. So if you write this dot name means this is a global variable name. This dot age means this is a global variable age. This dot name equal to name. This name is nothing but this input argument name. This age is nothing but the input argument age. Okay, so right side name and age are nothing but the input arguments. Left side name and age is nothing but the global variable. And how can I figure it out? This is the global variable. Your compiler will not be knowing which one is global and which one is input argument. By default, he will think everything is input argument. If you write name equal to name, age equal to age. So to differentiate, you have to tell him this is global variables. For that, we use the keyword this.
Got
So
it.
same way that this dot n equal to n. So this n is nothing but the input argument, whatever I am passing. And he's saying this
Okay.
dot n is nothing but this n. Okay. So
Okay.
when we
Thanks.
use, yeah, it will assign to that way. Clear? Encapsulation.
Yeah, it's clear.
Now, what are the things we have? Encapsulation we have discussed. Then have we discussed collection APIs, Java collections?
Yes, Abhishek, we have discussed that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Here we have discussed Java collections. So yeah, here there is one more concept called abstract class. Okay, so I'll just tell you. Maybe learn Java abstract class. Now you can create some classes, abstract classes. So what is the difference between normal class and abstract class? If I create a class, for example, bike, you can declare this class as an abstract class. Okay, if I write a normal class, if I write some method, public void, for example, run, I'll get an error message. I cannot declare abstract method, right? Just now we discussed about abstract method. I have to write the body of this method. But when you write, oh, sorry. When I declare some class as abstract class, okay? So it can behave as a normal class also, or you can create an abstract method also. Okay. Change right. Sorry, abstract. You have to write the keyword abstract. You can create an abstract method. Here you have to write public abstract void run. So this is an abstract method. Or public, void, say stop. You can create a body of any method also. That's the difference between normal class and abstract class. Stop. So now question: what is the difference in abstract class and interface? In the interface, all the methods should be abstract, right? That's what we saw. But in abstract class, it's up to you. You can create some method as abstract method. You can create some method as normal method with body also. Right. See here, it's not mandatory for you to initialize. Public bike. I can create a constructor of this class also, right? Bike class constructor. Okay. So if some class is abstract class, you can, or it will work same way as the class. Only extra advantage is you can create some method as abstract method. That's it. One more thing, I am creating a class called Honda bike. Here I'm writing extends bike. Here I am writing extends bike. So here only one difference. If you create any child class of this extract class, you have to implement the abstract method run. Can you see? Otherwise you will get an error message. I have only one run method, you have to implement it. If I create one more method, run, start. If I go back here, I have to implement both the method. That's the only difference. Add unimplemented methods. Can you see? Start and run. It is mandatory. Okay. Run say Honda, for example. Start Honda. Okay. Now one more thing. Here, if I write, see, bike b equal to new bike, I'm getting error message. You cannot create an object of the abstract class. Same as interface. Why? Because see, if I create an object of an abstract class, in case it allows me, if I call the start or run method, what it is going to run? It cannot run anything, right? That's why they are not allowing you to create an object of the abstract class. But you can do like this. Bike b equal to new Honda. B dot C run. B dot start. B dot stop. You can access it. If I run it, so it's giving me the output. It's calling the constructor and giving me the output. So this is what is abstract class. So abstract class can have abstract method or can have body of any method also. You can create an object of that abstract class. But in interface, all the methods should be abstract. It's mandatory and you cannot change it. Okay, that is what is abstract class. Clear? What is abstract class? So abstract class also will not be using, much. Will not be writing anything. But there are one or two things which I will tell you later in the WebDriver basically. Okay. Any question? Any doubt? Okay. So these are the small topics. See, there are small couple of topics up there. So basically, you have to go through it and you have to figure it out. I mean, you have to just write it so that it will be there in your mind. What are the things? So in case they ask some concept or some questions, you should be able to easily answer. Okay. This is what is abstract class. Now the next is, so in Java we have covered almost everything, and mainly whatever is left, that is how to read write from an Excel, and aggregation I'll talk about it later, not right now, and how to read write properties file, how to generate log files. Those are the things mainly pending from our end. Okay, so we'll talk about it and we'll discuss about all these things later. So whatever the things I told you till now, if you go through all these things, if you study all these things, and we should be fine. You should be fine, and we should continue with the WebDriver. Okay, so that should be fine.